I'm Bill DeFoy, and welcome to In the Community. And visiting with me right now is a good friend, and I mean that very sincerely, a very good friend of mine, Craig Stevens. And Craig is involved with the Highland Games coming up this weekend at Seaside Park, better known as the Ventura County Fairgrounds in Ventura. Craig, good to have you with us.
Nice to be with you.
Hey, it's good to see you, my
Yes.
friend. Listen, you're involved with the Highland Games. Let's talk a little bit about the event and what people can expect this weekend.
Well, the Highland Games encompasses a number of different activities. The pipes and drums, I believe we're anticipating, somewhere between 15 and 20 bands from all over the state. You will also have, as they refer to it, big guys throwing heavy objects, the athletics. Most people would be familiar with what is called the caber toss. Big guys throwing the telephone pole. And there's a specific method to throwing the telephone pole. There'll also be sheep herding with the dogs, Irish dance, singing, various instrumental groups, lots of vendors. And it's just a overall, and then what I'm involved in, the Seaside Games are one of the games where there is both competitions for drum majors who flourish, which means they're not dressed in the full #1 uniform. They're in a day wear, but they throw the mace considerably high up in the air, and that's referred to as flourishing. And then there are the regimental drum majors like myself, and there's only a handful of us on the West Coast. I believe we're anticipating possibly 4 there this weekend, and we will compete based on our uniform and our marching in deportment based on the regulations for the Royal Regiments of Scotland.
Tell us a little bit about the uniform, because to me it seems like it's very unique to each of the drum majors.
This is, like I said, this is referred to as a #1 ceremonial. The sleeve devices, the wreathed drum is an emblem of a drum major. This is a warrant officer's device. I was a Navy warrant officer, so I'm entitled to wear this. And then the position of drum major is an appointed position. It is not a rank, but it is the only set of chevrons within the British Army where the chevrons point. There's 4 and the point is up. And it's done as low on the sleeve as possible. Sergeant and lower ranks, the chevrons are reversed, point down, and are higher up. The primary thing is what is called the baldric, or the sash. For the Royal Regiments, this would hold, it would start off at the top with what is called the Royal Cipher, which is a crown with the letters ER2, Elizabethan regime, for Her Majesty. And then it would have the units, most people would be familiar with units like the Black Watch or the Argyll and Sutherland. It would have their badge and then their battle honors everywhere that unit has ever been since its inception, and those can go up the backside of the sash, which many do. I'm a retired senior deputy medical examiner. I worked and I was a police officer prior to that. When I was putting my sash together, I wanted to keep it in a regimental fashion, but I felt like I needed to honor somebody. And so I've got a sheriff's badge, the shield, which represents most of the other law enforcement agencies, because this is the type of badge they wear, and then highway patrol. And then I have the 33 names of the officers in Ventura County who have died in the line of duty. 8 of these were my friends, 6 of them I worked their cases. The new police chief for the city of Oxnard, Scott Whitney, his wife is on here. She was killed in 1998, and she is one of the 33 officers I have on this. So it was my way of honoring my friends, and in the career that I spent 42 years in, and it just seemed the appropriate thing to do. The tartan I'm wearing is the McLaughlin tartan, and then this one piece that wraps around me here, there's a lot of wool here. This piece is about 4.5 yards wide, and it's 12 feet long before I get wrapped up into it. It is held by and it's called a plaid, and this is a plaid brooch that, again, we're allowed to kind of choose our own design. What I have here is actually a piece of the granite from Edinburgh Castle, which the gentleman was allowed to collect 25 pieces. He polished this up, and this is a piece of hand-tooled sterling. So this is important to me. And then the kilt is the standard 16-ounce wool, 8 yards in length to make the kilt. And like I said, we're judged on the uniform requirements for the Royal Regiments of Scotland.
So it seems to me that you couldn't get in and out of that that piece that you're wearing very easily. In other words, you're not a quick change artist.
This takes, it can take a half hour or better to put on. I can get partially dressed at home or at the hotel, depending where we're at. But everything on top has to wait. I do most of my dressing in the parking lot. The sash here, the way it's tied, I got lucky today, and I've practiced this a lot. Tying this on your own is very difficult. Normally there's one of the other drum majors. I'll tie his, he'll tie mine, and then we'll pin each other off. Again, because it has to meet certain length requirements in the back especially when we're competing. But if this doesn't go on in a particular order, you get to a certain point where you go, oh, and you have to take everything off and go back and start all over again. So it is very complicated.
So how did you get to the rank of drum major?
I was actually I was a drum major in high school. Wainimi High School, back in the dark ages, 1972. I did that a little bit there. I did a little bit of it when I was in the Navy. I stayed with it on and off. I was fortunate enough to be stationed in the UK, and I got to talk to, watch, and get a little training from some of Her Majesty's Royal Drum Majors. And I just always stayed with it. And then a few years ago, I discovered there was a pipe band in Camarillo, Gold Coast Pipes, and they didn't have a drum major. And I called them up and I spoke with both the pipe major and the band manager. I said, would you guys be interested in having one? And they said yes, and I've been with them ever since. I've also marched with a number of other bands, Ventura Fire Pipes pipe band. I've led them in several parades and at other ceremonies, and just had a chance to march with a lot of great bands. Not all pipe bands have a drum major. In high school, or from 4th grade through high school through today, I play drums. I play both bass drum, tenor drum, and it's referred to as a side drum in a Scottish pipe band. You'd know it as a snare with some minor, they're constructed a little bit different. But I got into the drum major, and like I said, there's just a handful of us on the coast that do this, and we're not hard to find.
Now, there is one piece of your uniform that we are not seeing, and you actually have a headpiece.
Yes, it is. I think it's on the table.
We can get our producer Paul to get that for us, but you can tell us a little bit about the headpiece.
This is referred to as a feather bonnet. This is the headpiece that we wear. This is a wire cage that is coated or is covered in ostrich feather, and then there are 5 tails that hang down that very neatly on the side. There's a hole that you can store the tails up inside. But a drum major you'll see various bands wear this, what they call the #1 uniform. Everybody else, their feather bonnets will have 4 tails. The pipe major, who is in charge of the music, and the drum major, who is in charge of the formation and the uniforms, will both have 5 tails on theirs. This comes from the same manufacturer in Scotland that makes them for the Royal Regiments. It's what is called an MOD, Ministry of Defense regulation feather bonnet.
Wow.
Very lightweight. Like I said, it's lightweight it's a wire cage, but it does not breathe well at all. Air does not flow through it as much as people might think, but it is very lightweight. And like I said, this is originally goes back to regimental Army days. They wore the feather bonnets because it made them look taller in the field, and then later was adapted to the band use. And in pipe bands, in particular, like I said, this is just worn only with this particular uniform. It's not worn with any other of the variations that we can have.
Wonderful. I appreciate you bringing that on. Now, with the Highland Games coming up at Seaside Park in Ventura, you mentioned that there's going to be entertainment, lots of food. I would imagine a libation or two.
There has been known to be a beer tent, and there is also known to be a whiskey tasting tent if you are into various types of Scotch whiskey. And you might find 1 or 2 people. One of the advantages to this uniform, there are 3 pockets underneath the flaps that were designed to specifically fit a flask.
Aha.
And it
comes out.
And it is possible that I could have a flask on me. We'll just have to wait and see.
All right. And the physical agility as a drum major must be important. You've just recently, I know, had some knee surgery.
I had a total replacement of my right knee mid-June. I had somewhat jokingly told my surgeon, I said, in 12 weeks I need to compete at Pleasanton Highland Games, because that's one of the big regimental competitions. And he said, Craig, don't take me wrong, but a man your age, I don't think you're going to heal that fast. Well, I did, and I took second both days. The toughest part to the maneuvering is the British forces, what in the American forces we call it an about face, they refer to as an about turn. And it's done completely different to where your legs end up being crossed behind you at a certain point. And there was some concern that my knee might not want to bend in that particular position, even by one of the adjudicators. And I told him, I said, 1 of 2 things is going to happen. I'm either going to nail this hard and heavy, or the 20 people standing behind me with cameras are going to have quite a view, and I have no doubt I'll be on Facebook within a minute as I'm falling on my behind.
Okay. Well, the games are this weekend, Seaside Park. Now, are they just Friday and Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday, or are they Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
No, the games themselves are Saturday and Sunday. I believe the gates open at 9 and they go till about 5:30. On Saturday, it'll go till about 5 on Sunday. There is a party, the Chieftain's Party, Friday night. I believe it's at the 4 Point Sheraton, but you can go to seasidegames.com and get the information on that.
Wonderful. Well, Craig,
Also, anybody interested, this year they were able to get the 3rd Marine Air Wing Band from the San Diego area to come up both days, and there's just nothing better than the Marine Corps bands for if you want to hear good music.
Yes, indeed. Well, we look forward to seeing you out at the Seaside Games this weekend at Seaside Park in Ventura. In fact, this is really the season finale.
The Ventura Games are always the season finale games for the West Coast. We won't start up again until February at the Queen Mary. And then between February and October, there's games. The biggest one is Memorial Day weekend at Costa Mesa. And then the other big game up north is Labor Day weekend at Pleasanton, but there's games in Vista, Bakersfield, Las Vegas, Monterey, Woodland, and I think that pretty well covers, and then some of us go to some other little games, like next month, I'm going to Moab, Utah. I'm the senior drum major for the games they have up there.
Oh, wonderful.
So that's a fun venue to go up to.
That's a beautiful piece of land up there.
Yes,
I've been
yes.
to Moab. That's beautiful.
And Fresno is another game that we do.
I'm not sure about Fresno, but Moab I like.
Fresno is a fun one-day game, and the Bakersfield is also a one-day game, a little smaller in size than Ventura, but still great people, lots of fun, and you'll get more than your fill of pipe music.
Excellent, and there's something for everybody.
And there's something for everybody, you bet.
All right, Craig Stevens has been my guest. I'm Bill DeFoy. You've been watching In the Community, a production of the Heritage Media Group.